Let's see what it is that they try to do in those picks and bans for Game 2. We'll get them up on the screen here, Taco. And yeah, I mean, banning away the Athena, do you think that EU Powerhouses run Athena mid again, or do you just not want Athena anywhere on the squad? That's just how strong she is.
I just wouldn't have to worry about an Athena in general, whether she's support, solo, jungle, mid, it really doesn't matter. She's still an Athena. She's still going to have some form of relevance in the match. And I think for as many times as you saw Eribiiax do some very questionable plays, it ultimately didn't seem to matter in the grand scheme of things because he still managed to bring it back. And I think that that's also just an attribute to Athena in that she is a very exclusive god case right now to where she can be so flexible because of how much RTC she introduces to a team composition.
They ban away the Giannis here to switch over to Game 2. European Powerhouses don't want to see Auzrik on that one again. Fable's consistently banning away those two sustain gods, but that does mean now the Odin makes it through. But Taco, it's a little curious that first pick keeps banning away the ChronicThe. Do they not want to play that one themselves?
I just have to assume that that's not in Woolvie's interest to pick, but they also don't want to leave it open, recognizing how strong ChronicThe can be. I know that we haven't had an opportunity to see him just yet in any hard SPL or I think any match series, as he's just now available. Yes, and well, ChronicThe, because of the ultimate, I think it's mostly that 40% damage mitigation on the ult at mass ranks, plus the slow against everybody. You just don't want to have to worry about it.
No, they don't want to have to deal with that in this game, and instead they're going to deal with the Achilles Cerberus. Cerberus, a very strong Guardian here this game, and European Powerhouses, despite how much they seemed to hoard the Guardians last game, not so much looking toward this time. They've got the Odin and the Xbalanque right off the bat.
Oh, there we go. And the Terra, a little bit of frontline solidified here for European Powerhouses. And I like the Xbalanque. You've got that Darkest Night to combine with the Odin cage. Those two go hand in hand. It's hard to go wrong there. Terra can have the root, so another giant AoE spacing control aspect to place inside of that cage. Also maybe look to throw some of the members of Fable out of position here on. But Poseidon, this is a really interesting choice because I think that Poseidon Whirlpools are kind of an unsung hero against gods like Terra and Odin. At least you don't have to worry about that jump in initiation or even just the Terra or dashing forward moments, as well as a quick and easy burst from the Kraken.
It really can be very disruptive, and a lot of the times you see Poseidon drafted when you're the ones with the Odin cage because such good follow-up. But if the fight's going to be happening in the Odin cage anyway, then you can kind of have your own big burst damage on your own side. It's still a big circle to put on top of another big circle, it's just that one of them's on the other side this time.
Speaking of, you got to see the Discordia being banned away from Fable, so very clear that they don't want to allow that sort of burst mage to go into the hands of European Powerhouses with their current composition.
It looks like that's the case. They banned the Athena and the Discordia at the same time, so I'm thinking that just now they're banning away their mid-mages. That's what that is for? Athena, the mid-mage?
I'd have to assume so. I mean, you can never really take those sort of chances, but European Powerhouse is going to still find some utility here with the Isis.
Isis comes in along with Thor. So, hey, if European Powerhouse just likes playing control-y mid laners, then this is not still too far from what Athena does, but has a little bit more damage. Isis, I think, has a ton of control between the stun, the silence, the slow. She's got a lot of tools at her disposal.
And now a Hades, last but not least for Fable. This is making me believe that this is probably a jungle Achilles this time around as opposed to the solo lane Achilles you saw in the last game. I like that just because of the fact that Achilles never really seemed like he had a real opportunity to rotate because of how pressured he was early on. Also important to note that Fable do have a substitute jungler in for Waldrum right now. Total Bad Boy going to be taken over as the jungler for Fable this game.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I'm actually very curious to see what exactly they're going to be giving over to him. So let's go ahead and move into the game, see exactly what his pick is going to be. And as you highlighted, it is going to be the Achilles in the jungle this time. To be fair, I don't think Achilles had a bad game on it. He just was getting 2 to 3 man ganked like all the time. So
yeah, that was the thing.
Just a rough life.
I don't think that Achilles had a poor performance by any means, nor was it his fault solely. I think that there's only so much you can do when you're consistently getting ganked. And Meow Nate got that little bit of oomph for extra help in the solo lane that he needed. He was getting so controlled there early on by Achilles. It was just unfortunate for Fable GG that their solo laner happened to be the target that European Powerhouse is set on early game.
Well, now Fable GG have got to make the adjustment with Total Bad Boy on the roster this time, going against NeiI, who had a really good game last time on the Unba to the Fear No Evil for them. He was kind of, especially the early to mid-game, their damage, the one they were really relying on to come in and clean up some of these team fights. And he did a great job of it. Can do that same thing for them on this Thor this game, where they're still very control-focused, just doing it a little bit differently than they did last game, as Meownate actually takes the Terra over to solo, it looks like, and then Kemon's going to be playing Odin.
One big difference that I think NeiI is going to learn very rapidly if this game doesn't start out in his favor is Thor is much more unforgiving in comparison to the Humbats. I think in the early game, NeiI wasn't able to match the rotational speed from Waldron, but that didn't seem to matter in the last match because even though it was Humbats versus the Ratatoskr, Fear No Evil still played a really important role there from the mid to late game, kind of compensating for the lack of early presence that we saw from NeiI. But Thor, you slip up on any of those ultimates and you're probably just landing into catastrophe.
I like this Hades pick, though, as you talked about how NeiI's going to be able to play on this Thor, coming over to the solo lane, killing on this Hades. It was a good pick, right? If it is Odin over here, you know, he can get out of the cage with relative ease, depending on how it's timed. If Kemon's patient and waits till the jump is down for the cage, then not so much. But he can, you know, usually get out of it. It's very strong in lane. He'd be kind of a lane bully against Terra or against this Odin. So, I don't know. I kind of like this here in this spot, considering what the picks and bans look like.
You can kind of see where it can go either way, or if they're going to have tides turned upon them because of Auzrik, as Davey eats a pretty large chunk of his health. I think about right half of it from Kemon. Kemon even popping the sprint, looking to play purely aggressively against this duo lane over here for Fable, and Fable not really looking to respond just yet.
Well, to be fair, this is why you pick Odin support, is for this exact reason. You want someone over here who does a bunch of burst damage that you're not quite used to in the duo lane from that support pick, and can try and force them back just by way of dealing more damage they can take. But now Kemon just taking some free poke for Davey, kind of equalize this lane back out.
And for aggressive, as Fable started playing this match, speaking of which, they're not over it just yet. Total bad boy looking for that first blood against Eribiiax, going to be able to connect and find it. And so does that hammer toss out from NeiI, but just not enough damage or mana to follow that one up.
That's got to make it easy, though, for you when you're coming into this game, maybe not expecting to play, and able to get first blood for your team. Hopefully that'll help Total Bad Boy relax a little bit more into his shoes and definitely be able to continue to play strong for this squad as they look for the buff invades. They will take these back XP camps and head right back towards mid.
Won't be able to find that speed buff, unfortunately. Didn't realize as it just spawned for NeiI right now. So Eribiiax holding his own in the mid lane now that he's managed to make it back in time for that. But Auzrik already leading just a little bit more ahead of his direct opposition there in the mid lane, sitting at level 4 now, as opposed to Eribiiax's 3.
Isis and Poseidon's kind of an old mid lane matchup, isn't it, for all the new mid laners we see nowadays?
That Season 2 vibe going on right now between these guys.
Just gods with good early clear were kind of the idea, I guess. Well, at least certainly Isis can do that very well, and it hasn't helped just yet, as Isis is the one that took the early spill when Auzrik and Total Bad Boy grouped up, but means that Eribiiax won't have too hard of a time evening things back up.
Eribiiax over on this Isis needs to be careful that he doesn't end up having some more of those untimely deaths, because your early game is your best potential for establishing a clear lead on the Isis. And you also have that circle of protection, and I think that that'll be a really important ultimate whenever they're trying to contest the early game objectives. I think that was something European Powerhouses definitely struggled with in the last match, because they just didn't have that mage burst damage, and now they have plenty of mage burst damage. And speaking of burst damage, Woolvie getting exploded upon by Davey.
That was just a way more damage than they expected, and to be honest, I give a lot of that credit to ChronicThe bros. Hitting that max range stun is really what set that up into the ghastly breath, and Davey does finish it off. But it's what Cerberus in the duo lane can do, man. He can chunk you the same way an Odin can, but a little bit safer.
And Woolvie just not able to get that Rising Jaguar off in time because his Purification Beads have been on cooldown for a little over a minute now. And
that's right.
That was just really well played by Fable earlier on in this lane, where ChronicThe bros, I believe, even managed to pull those beads because of his paralyzing spit connecting.
Whoa, beads have to come out from Auzrik there. He still takes all the damage, and now they want to come over towards this duo lane, try and even things back up. A two-man stun comes out, still has the beads available. Petrify turns around, gets good damage on everyone, but it's a 4 versus 2. No one's here to provide any support. They are able to find ChronicThe bros and get the kill on the Davey. Kemon finds that last one.
Just 4 members already rotated over from European Powerhouses. Total Bad Boy is here now. He will manage to stop the back from Kimon. Kimon just not realizing what's going on. Total Bad Boy is going to find one. Auzrik's going to find another. And just like that, Fable GG tying up the scores, finding a return dual lane kill.
Come back in and make it 2 for 2 over there in that duo lane, which I'm sure Chronic and Davey are happy about, as they were, kind of saying, I'm sure very nicely into comms, there's 4 people in my lane. Finally, the rotation comes back over. Fable GG keep things even. They have about a 1,000 gold lead. Not much to say about experience-wise, but Fable GG trying to stay out in front.
European Powerhouse is just getting a little bit too comfortable, thinking that they had the upper hand. They just managed to kill Fable's dual lane. Why would Fable even bother trying to respond now? You don't even know if all 4 members are still there or not, and Fable kind of just taking the chance.
Kimon in particular kind of back in there in the middle of the lane a little bit later than what we saw coming out from the rest of the squad, and does end up getting punished for it. Total Bad Boy actually held on to the Fatal Strike, I believe. Didn't even have to use that one as Achilles comes over to secure his own blue buff. Not looking for the evade. It's actually Meownate on the Terra, looking to come up and see if he can strip away a buff from a Hades.
And that to me was also just really well-placed whirlpools out of Auzrik.
Yes.
Stopping the Odin jump away into safety and making it so that Total Bad Boy wouldn't have to expend that Fatal Strike as the cleanup tool. And now they have that ultimate instead to use if they want in the mid lane. Although I don't think that that's in Total Bad Boy's interest right now. Currently, Fable GG just a little bit more focused on farming up as much experience as possible.
Big shoes to fill here. Early on, Waldrum kind of kept them in that game by targeting out Woolvie in game 1 I'm referring to now. It's Total Bad Boy, and he's playing well for them so far. 2-0-1, looks very comfortable, top of the net worth charts. And this is where you kind of are expecting this impact from Achilles as NeiI goes up into the air. Cage comes out from Kimon. Auzrik is the one that's trapped, pinned up against the cage. Eribiiax finds that kill. Now they'll look for a little bit more. It's Total Bad Boy, but might have bitten off more than he can chew. Killy makes the rotation in, gets some good damage off. Earth and Fury gonna come out in response, but the Pillar of Agony pulls everyone back. Killy can't afford to stick around, gets slowed, gets chunked, not gonna land the stun. Now Chronic is here with the Stygian Torment, but pulls back in nobody.
Oh, and Total Bad Boy is actually gonna go in with the blink here. Eribiiax gonna end up falling as well to ChronicThe Bros as Total Bad Boy ends up Fatal striking away into safety. Kimon still looking to play aggressive here against Killy. No, instead he's gonna try and just make it to the safety of his tower.
How does Killy make it back out of there? How does Total Bad Boy make it back out of there? Why does Chronic do so much damage? What just happened in that last fight? Total Bad Boy blinks back in, able to find a kill. ChronicThe Bros chunks, and also able to help set up a kill himself. Fable GG turned that one around.
All attention was immediately shifted to ChronicThe Bros as soon as he came in with that Cerberus Stingent Torment. Everybody from European Powerhouses kind of just expected that they could maybe focus all of their remaining abilities onto that Cerberus, find the pick, and get out. But Killy the Madman, alongside of Total Bad Boy, those two just choose to go in right away. They do not hesitate, and I think that just threw European Powerhouses for such a loop that Fable able to walk away scot-free for that.
It's so interesting. In that moment, you have to make a call as a team about what to do. And it's very difficult to make that call, especially if you're just not as quite as experienced as some other teams. And I think Total Bad Boy is able to kind of thrive in that as Auzrik comes steal purple buff and may pay for it with his life. Odin Cage locks him in. Kraken doesn't quite land in. Yes, Auzrik does die there because why was he there?
That's a big thing for me also, and Total Bad Boy might be asking himself the same thing. Why am I here? As Warnock going up into the air now, looking to try and connect. No real escape pathways for Total Bad Boy. He's going to have to use that Fatal Strike, and even then, he might not be out.
Is able to avoid the hammer and the Spirit Ball. Now Stygian Torment is going to pick up Kimon, but rather than bringing him back to Total Bad Boy, he drops him back in the middle of the lane. I like that idea from Chronic to make sure he keeps Total Bad Boy alive. Somehow he makes it out, but I mean, Auzrik, buddy, I don't know if you can be there.
Really well-timed spin to win from NeiI to prevent getting that knock-up applied to him off the Stygian Torment. I think that that's just the little tips and tricks to help survive.
Spirit Ball comes through, only hits Auzrik, who only just returned from trading his life from for a purple buff. Instead, he's going to come back and grab his own red this time. On his side of the map, he should be okay. Total Bad Boy stuck around, though, is still very low. I just don't think EU Powerhouse recognized. Kimon does jump over the wall, but Total Bad Boy's still safe for now.
And, you know, I didn't really place much thought into it beforehand, but after seeing that last little engagement there, this Thor pick might have also been prompted because of the fact that you can't be pulled into that Stingent Torment if you're able to get that spin-off.
It's very good for being able to counter that. What is probably the best initiation tool for Fable GG. Outside of that, they don't really have that many good tools for it. I mean, Killy can always dive in and look for an ultimate, or I mean, that's kind of about it. Total Bad Boy likes to initiate by way of just being in your face on the Achilles. That's one of their best tools, and the jungler being able to just straight up avoid it is very powerful.
Just one of the nice little aspects to have in that Berserker's Barrage is now everything's kind of fizzled down for a moment here. This has been a relatively aggressive game, though, in comparison to the last one for both teams.
Well, right when you say that, Taco, ChronicThe Bros now in a little bit of trouble. Cage comes out. They're going to drop the circle of protection right on top of it. Nowhere for Chronic to go. Eribiiax finds that kill. Now, Neil's going to be off the mark, and so is the Spear Ball. So Total Bad Boy still has free reign to move around the fight, has to Fatal Strike away. Kimon goes in aggressive, and Auzrik has to fall back. They don't get any damage really onto the tower, but Chronic has already been punished.
And Kimon just couldn't afford to tank that one up any longer. Only a level 8 Odin, so those T1s still definitely swinging. But ChronicThe Bros ended up dying there a lot faster than what he was probably expecting. Just so much burst damage between Eribiiax's circle of protection inside of that Odin cage specifically.
Oh, no.
Davey, a little bit of trouble here. Kimon still looking to give chase, but he has no mana.
Kimon just jumps right over the Petrify there and slams back down. Pays no mind to the ultimate coming out for the Medusa in that bit of a 1v1 as they head back to their own purple this time. And Eribiiax has been working perfectly with Kimon so far as the aggression is on Eribiiax. As soon as we said your name, deleted, Auzrik comes in with the Kraken and releases it.
Both mid laners choosing to use their purification beads, but seemed to pay off a little bit better there for Auzrik. No, actually, Auzrik didn't use the purification beads. Ended up just coming out on top there from purely burst damage alone.
Now Total Bad Boy aggressing along with ChronicThe Bros in the mid lane. Neil ends up falling. Didn't really have a way out of that one. Did have purification beads, but just would not have kept him alive there. As Fable GG find another pick. They get Eribiiax and they take down the jungler.
And I don't think it's all that uncommon to see junglers choosing to hold their actives, as now Fable's still looking to play even more aggressively against Kimon. He still drops the Odin cage. This is a perfect force out, and he's not going to win this boxing opportunity until Total Bad Boy misses with the Fatal Strike.
Eribiiax going to give him his first death of the game. Chronic doesn't have enough damage to bring down Kimon by himself. Killy now is stunned out. Eribiiax right here with the silence and into the stun. It's a lot of damage. Killy got to find a retreat path as Eribiiax wants to keep chasing him out. Sprint does give him a chance to escape.
Auzrik now making the rotation on this Poseidon. He's fully healthy and ready to go here against Eribiiax. Going to eat a lot of the Hades damage, caught up into that pillar, and now Eribiiax one more time going to end up getting turned upon entirely.
Kimon does make it out. Neil lands on the backside, hits nobody with the actual Anvil of Dawn, but is here to provide the hammer. Killy, because Woolvie is all the way here in solo lane, has the autos necessary to bring down Hades. Davey going to continue to push that tier 1. Aegis keeps Auzrik alive for the moment. Wall comes out for the stun, but there's no more follow-up damage. They launch ChronicThe Bros, who catches Kimon before he dies and trades his life out.
Oh no, but Auzrik turned back around. He was trying to give a little bit of assistance to Chronic. Woolvie going to end up finding him because of the rising Jaguar damage into a quick and easy auto. And there's no way Davey can solo this Gold Fury.
He is going to start heading towards it. Total Bad Boy is rotating as well, but be careful. Neil is on his way to this side of the map, or maybe he's not. He's just going to push up the mid lane tier 1. And Taco, I think that means the Gold Fury is going to Fable. No one there to contest it, so finally Davey able to punish the rotation from Woolvie.
But that doesn't even matter. If Neil can find this tower, no, he's going to choose to back off instead. Knows that Total Bad Boy is right around the corner, and speaking of which, Neil, no mana left. That's going to be an easy one for Total Bad Boy to finish off, and it's not as awful of a situation as what Fable could have possibly been in. The big thing for me is that Gold Fury definitely worth more than just a single T1 tower over in solo.
Yes, that's really all that they get in return. Now, they did grab a couple kills over there in the solo lane too, Taco. They were traded out, though, because some good plays by ChronicThe Bros, but they get the tier 1 tower, get a couple kills, but Fable GG grabbed the Gold Fury, the tier 1 in duo to even the tier 1 tower situation back out, and a kill of their own onto Neil. Now they have a 3,400 gold lead and around the same for experience.
One big takeaway from that last little engagement also is just that European Powerhouse has spent a lot of time in solo, and Keemon's about to spend a little bit more time in base because he's sent back to the depths from Auzrik Kraken.
Who's able to make it out before Circle of Protection goes off. It's just not popped in time there by Eribiiax for any damage. Now could be called out by Total Bad Boy, and he is. Killy loops underneath to get that last hit. They're going to continue to surge into the jungle of EU Powerhouses. Meownate is boxing in. Woolvie's just trying to heal up on the backside, but FableEU are instead going to come push for the tier 1.
European Powerhouses, I think, falling victim to Fable syndrome from game 1 here. Being split apart so often, they're not able to work as a unison. And because of that, Auzrik actually doesn't even matter because NeiI has way too much burst damage.
He is able to make it up into the Anvil of Dawn, and no way he comes back down aggressively here with how little HP he has. He's biding his time, but does retreat. But Chronic goes back in. Aggressive Pillar of Agony sets up for Davey to find the kill on a Meownate. Killy gets Keemon as well. Now Woolvie looking for the autos, but nowhere to go. Double kill for the Hunter for FableEU. Only NeiI and Eribiiax still standing. Tier 1 tower definitely gonna come down.
Absolute destruction by Eribiiax. He can't close the gap. ChronicThe Bro is gonna be able to jump away into safety, and Eribiiax, as much as he wants to give chase, he also doesn't want to end up getting picked off again. That's why we see him approaching with so much caution. Spirit Ball also not going to connect. Davey manages to back just in time. And it's just a massive loss for European Powerhouses in the mid lane.
And FableEU kind of forced that fight to continue to happen. They find, as you alluded to earlier, the picks in the jungle. They come right back and force the fight on the tier 1 tower. NeiI does great to at least get Auzrik in all of that by hammering to him, teleporting to the hammer, and finding the kill on the backside. That's about all they get, and he has to retreat. But other than that, that was all Fable.
European Powerhouses have done a great job at picking a draft that can find the necessary follow-up inside of Keemon's Odin cage, but if they're not able to execute picks within that time span of the Circle of Protection inside of the ring, they're most likely going to end up dropping the fight entirely, and that's been the main difference between these two teams so far, I think, Finch, because FableEU have had very consistent damage, very consistent burst, and I think that overall is just proving to be a little bit more worthwhile in comparison to European Powerhouses trying to perform everything based around this Isis Odin combination.
And that's the Wombo combo that didn't succeed for them at the start of that fight. Remember, I think Keemon was the first death that happened in that engagement, and Eribiiax had committed the Circle of Protection, but I believe it was Auzrik who made it back out of the cage before that even went off. So their big combo never got to even see fruition in that fight. Now FableEU want to start up the Pyromancer. Total Bad Boy getting chunked by Eribiiax, has to use Fatal Strike defensively. Meownate meets the Kraken and cannot stand up against it. Goes to go meet with Davy Jones as Auzrik takes down that kill. Now the Pillar of Agony is going to pull Eribiiax back in. Still has the beads, so he can walk away. They don't get the Pyromancer, but the fight goes the way of Fable.
Beads and a sprint, though, all for one Pillar of Agony. I think that's exactly the kind of spot that they want to be in. And now they even get the life of Keemon as he ends up falling there also to the Stingent Torment, pulling him right back into the clutches of Fable.
Just cannot escape could Keemon there. It's too much control from the rest of FableEU, especially when you're isolated the way that he was. 2 kills for Fable. They leave the Pyromancer up on the map. EU at least force them back away from that, but aside from that, Fable get everything they want.
I think that ChronicThe Bros has just been putting in work this game. Finch.
Absolutely.
He has been killing it on this Cerberus pick. European Powerhouses, right as things start to look up, ChronicThe Bros is immediately pulling them back down to reality here. And this Dio has been all over the map. If he can continue to have this sort of presence in team fights, then FableEU are looking nice here in game 2.
Yeah, I think Chronic's just 3 steps ahead of them. You know, 3 brains are better than 1. You know, it's just working in his
Isn't
favor.
it technically 2 brains?
Yeah, but you got to think 3 would be
2
even
more.
better than that. Oh, you're right. He's only +2 on you.
He's only
you
plus
have
2
1.
on you.
Right.
The 1 is the by default.
I mean,
Does
yeah.
that count? Or
Yeah.
do you still just add the 2 to the original for the Mega Mind?
I'm trying to do I was trying to do like a bit, so I didn't think about
Notice
it
how I went for the dad grow joke approach?
Yeah, you went for the aggro way of sucking all the fun out of the room. So that's what aggro usually does, right? Cerberus, though, certainly has been doing well here for, or rather, ChronicThe's been doing well on the Cerberus pick so far here in this game. The Stygian Torments have been on point. So, though, have the Paralyzing Spits. I mean, we say it all the time. I don't want to turn to a meme, but it's not the easiest ability to hit for the stun, and ChronicThe routinely getting it done for this team.
Not only that, but the Ghastly Breath also. I think that some teams tend to forget just how much of your protections you lose the longer you sit in those ticks, and Kima has just been a sponge for every single little tick of these Ghastly Breaths, but finally ChronicThe Bros getting a little bit focused here in the mid lane. Killing now in some slight danger as ChronicThe Bros still getting aggressed on by more members of European Powerhouses.
Yeah, he's been the target as NeiI goes up into the air. Anvil of Dawn is at the ready. Circle of Protection, still not enough. Kraken does get the knock up. Meow Nate is able to take down Auzrik early on. Petrify comes through for Davey. That sets up Total Bad Boy to find a kill himself. Now Killy forced to retreat. Kimon wants to jump in more aggressively, but all the ultimates from EU Powerhouses have been expended. They don't have their big wombo combos any longer. In the 4v4, FableGG still want to try and stand out, but the sustain going the way of EU Powerhouses.
All things considered, though, that was probably best case scenario for European Powerhouses, because I really thought they were just going to lose that fight flat out against Fable the moment that they invested almost every single ultimate into ChronicThe, but it's not over just yet. Kimon still getting poked out even further as Woolvie finds the return kill into ChronicThe Bros, but it cost him his life.
He has to overcommit. He's the one that sets up for the kill for Total Bad Boy as well. ChronicThe Bros, certainly the hero of this little engagement in the mid lane, and it looks like it is coming to the end. But no, NeiI is kind of looping around. He wants more. Can't find it, though, and has to retreat.
Maybe hoping that Total Bad Boy be a bit slower on that speed buff and he could find a hammer stun connection, which would have been nice into Berserker's Barrage.
But ChronicThe Bros, man, in that fight, they commit so much onto him early on, Taco, and he's not even the one that dies. It's Auzrik that falls. How? Why can't they kill this guy? This Cerberus is just too strong.
I just also don't think they should be investing that much against the Cerberus. Speaking of which, Auzrik gonna...
We won't talk about that.
It's okay. He has a little bit of issues with death perception. I suffer from the same thing. Auzrik, not over just yet, does manage to find the 1v1 with that tidal surge onto Eribiiax, but now most likely going to end up falling also in return to Kima. No, instead some beautiful peel from Davey, and Total Bad Boy going to keep him alive.
And the Aegis lets him survive the initial burst. That's how he is able to still be standing at this moment. 4 members wiped from EU Powerhouses. Only Woolvie still alive, as the rest of FableGG want to come force down the Tier 2 tower. We even saw the surrender vote come out. EU Powerhouses with a little bit of frustration at this point in the game, as just barely not able to get a couple kills.
It's pretty warranted frustration also. I think the European Powerhouses have a reason to be frustrated with their gameplay. They've just kind of really seemed to lose their finesse. And one more time, speaking of finesse, Total Bad Boy not going to be able to find that last hit onto Woolvie with the Fatal Strike. I think that's the main reason this Phoenix going to end up still standing strong also.
Wow, Total Bad Boy overcommits. Can't find the kill on the Woolvie. Ends up falling. Phoenix still standing. And NeiI's looking for the Anvil of Dawn. Dunk. Can't find that. Hits the wall on the Achilles. Teleports to it questionably. But he's still pushing forward. He has Eribiiax behind him.
I think he was trying to bluff Achilles and ChronicThe Bros on that one. Let him think that someone's right behind him when in actuality Eribiiax is nowhere close by at that moment. And still, European Powerhouses have the 5v4 power play if they choose to go for it. Pyromancer is up for the taking, but they might just go for the big boy himself on that Fire Giant.
That's what it's looking like to me. Now, they got to be careful. Auzrik is right around the corner, ready to release the Kraken at any moment. They are going to let it be Meowne who goes for zoning duty.
Don't make Woolvie tank this. Speaking of, Kima now playing aggressively against Auzrik. Auzrik going to get a nice Kraken there off onto Eribiiax. He's already so low.
The Whirlpool was continuing to tick. Auzrik found the kill. Can't make it out with his life, but Petrify hits just about everyone. Woolvie ends up falling. Pillar of Agony groups them all together. NeiI low on the right-hand side. Davey going to try and track him down with the auto, and eventually will. Double kill now for the Hunter. FableGG claim 3 lives. Now they want the Fire Giant.
And this is the way to do it. ChronicThe Bros making sure to hold the primary aggro of this Fire Giant, so his Hunter won't take as much damage and he won't have to worry about having his protection stripped away and the like. So Killy, very, very happy to assist there. And ChronicThe Bros, Davey combined, they get the Pyromancer also just to finish things off, and FableGG now looking nice here in game 2.
Gotten themselves a nice lead here at this point in the game, Taco. About 12,000 gold out in front. Certainly going to be feeling the brunt of that is EU Powerhouses. FableGG also have the Fire Giant on everyone except Auzrik, who did have to take a spill. He committed a lot to make sure Eribiiax would also fall. But with 4 members with it and plenty of tier 2 towers to grab, one in mid and solo, and an already weakened Phoenix in left, FableGG have a relatively easy job to try and close this one out if they do so correctly.
And it's odd because European Powerhouses started out this match pretty strong looking. Eribiiax, though, not looking too strong in the mid lane. In fact, he's completely been deleted by Auzrik's Kraken on that one. Eribiiax cannot come any closer by himself.
Well, there are a few things that Poseidon likes to hear more than Aegis is down, and I guess they knew that about Eribiiax and just all in committed there for that kill and was able to find it. Now 5v4, they want Phoenix in mid lane. NeiI looking for the wall on the right-hand side. Meownic gets a 3-man stun, but without Eribiiax, what's the follow-up? FableGG still looking comfy.
That circle of protection, by far the main deterrence factor here to keep FableGG locked out. And now that Eribiiax is down for another 20 seconds, this wave pushing in is probably going to mean go for Fable also.
Keep your eyes on Achilles where he decides to jump in, and it is going to be onto Woolvie on left-hand side. Odin Cage comes out in response, but everyone turns around and collapse Digi and Torment to control him. Whirlpool to tick him. Meownic has nowhere to go. Davey finds that kill. Total bad boy continuing to harass the back line. Does force away NeiI. Eribiiax back among the living, but now we can't say the same for Kimon. He falls. Mid-Phoenix now the target.
And it's going to be a ult straight in on top of everybody. Eribiiax has finally made it back into the fray, however. Circle of protection didn't manage to find the kill. Auto attacks instead going to make sure to clean up Killy, but now we got ChronicThe Bros jumping straight into the mix. Takes out Eribiiax for overextending, and I can't even call it overextending actually. He's just trying to defend his Phoenix.
Auzrik trying to battle out with NeiI, has the Kraken, gets good damage, isn't able to get quite in range with the Berserker Barrage, so mid-Phoenix gonna fall, and NeiI can't even trade out the life of the mid lane mage. Now another surrender vote coming out, continued frustration from EU Powerhouses.
I think that maybe could have ended there. Just send one member to harass NeiI, keep him from backing, and you've got the next wave pushing in.
Even without Davies' damage?
Even without Davies' damage. I think as long as Auzrik is there, you probably have it. There was a fresh creep wave pushing in. Everybody was dead outside of NeiI for quite some time, but choosing to play it safe rather than sorry, I respect that decision also from Fable.
Sure. That's right. When we say maybe they could have ended, almost always, you know, staying alive, regrouping, having a 15,000 gold lead and trying again is not a bad second choice, right? Almost always that's fine to fall back to that. Sometimes you can play too safe and kind of throw the game away, but Fable are a long ways from that right now. They can certainly regroup and come back and push again and still be in a strong position.
If you can play devil's advocate in a game-closing situation, then that most likely means it's not really worth a toss-up if you're in Fable's position. And that is something that I can hardly ever disagree with on a team's decision-making for. Plus, we also have the inherent advantage of being the commentator, seeing everything from the overview and knowing the health bars and the warding and the vision and all that good stuff that you would want to know if you're trying to close it out.
Yeah, we got a pretty nice view up here. You know, shout outs to Doug.
Well, right now it's on Killy, and yeah, he's 80s.
Yeah, you know, it's all right. 6-2 and 6 High Domain Lion, Divine Ruin, Voidstone, Pythagorean's Peace. Gonna be hard to kill this Hades, especially with some lifesteal in there, extra magical power coming out. He's in a good spot.
Everything about Killy's build just says focus Woolvie. Do not let this hunter have a nice time, period. And I think that Woolvie kind of starting to recognize the issue he's encountered. We've seen him spam a lot of auto attacks that have been successful in landing, but you have to have the concerns here. It's into a Nemean Lion and a Thorn, so if Killy just stands right in front of the Xbalanque, Woolvie's going to end up killing himself.
Not going to be an easy target whatsoever, as FableGG are actually looking to see maybe they can catch someone out. NeiI is alone on the right-hand side. Fire Giant not up just yet, so they can't quite start it, but you're right, this build from Killy, very much like most solo laners, is an anti-hunter type strat. Really wants to try and slow down Woolvie, who has itemized into crit pretty heavily. Poison Star, Deathbringer, working on the Wind Demon. This build from Killy can definitely punish him if he can stand nearby Woolvie.
And that's the thing also, is that you never really know what can happen in some of these team fighting engagements. Killy could, for instance, go in just a little bit too aggressively before the rest of his team is there for the follow-up, and that could be the turnaround moment for European Powerhouses. But based off what we've seen so far from Fable, they've been playing this one pretty safe and by the book here.
Yes.
They don't want to throw away their chances of making a comeback run here in this set.
Achilles standing right up at the front, chuckling as they group up to try and make their last push. I have been informed over my headset it is Alex on the spectator, the extremist of mans, who's bringing us the view right now. So shout out to my boy Alex as we move in now to the Phoenix Siege. Already MeowNate forcing them back with the threat of the root. Doesn't quite go for it though.
FableGG though still posing the threat here, grouped up on the right-hand Phoenix mid lane, about to respond, but there's another fire wave pushing in. Also, Auzrik going to make sure to attend to it, to clear out that regular creep wave that European Powerhouses have going, and that's going to force NeiI to defend if he doesn't want to end up losing this mid Phoenix. Perfect opportunity for Fable to go in.
Now he does have the Anvil of Dawn. He can come over to this quickly, but might not have the cooldowns to follow up afterwards if he uses them on the wave. Phoenix has taken a good bit of damage already, 60% HP. NeiI's walking back the old-fashioned way, still holding on to Anvil of Dawn for now, as some of FableGG are going to continue to push in mid.
And Auzrik still trying to make sure that European Powerhouses keep their powers divided. NeiI looking to attend towards Auzrik, and everybody else from FableGG stood up on this right-hand side.
Darkest of Nights comes out, but FableGG just waited out. That's a big ultimate used a little bit too early. Keemon goes in and is immediately removed from the map. Petrify hits everybody. Woolvie next one up on the chopping block. Aegis keeps him alive for the moment, so he is able to fall back, but being pulled back in by Achilles is Eribiiax with nowhere to go. 2 quick kills already for FableGG. Phoenix on the right-hand side in their sights. It comes tumbling down. Fable in the 5v3. They got their eyes on the Titan.
Auzrik also making sure to take out the Phoenix in the mid lane. Save one and lose the other. Davey gonna end up knocking out Woolvie to finish things off. Crit still standing strong here against NeiI, ulting inside of his own fountain, trying to do everything in his power to stop this Titan from falling.
Now he does come crashing back down, but Davey Wavy's right there with the auto attacks and is able to take him as well. Dashing into the fountain for a little bit of style points. Fable even the setup, and it's bonus smite indeed.
Both of these teams there, I mean, it's been so back and forth. A really incredible performance out of FableGG. Tie up this set here in Game 2, and I gotta hand it to them. They did a great job executing their composition.
They really did. Fable looked much better than they did in that Game 1, where even when they were winning some of the fights in Game 1, it wasn't quite as clean. Still a lot of return damage, a lot of kills were being traded out with them. This time, they looked like they were far and away ahead in this matchup. Now, that might have just been the drafts. That might have been how they played this one matchup. We'll have to see in Game 3, but they looked pretty clean.
It wasn't as convincing of a performance in Game 1, I think, for Fable, where even when they managed to find the picks and get the one-up in the team fights, there was still a little bit of that unsettling kind of aura to a lot of those after environment effects. And I think that for me, I really want to see European Powerhouses kind of fall back to what we saw in Game 1.
Yes.
I like the concept behind looking for the heavy execution onside of that Odin cage, but they just put a little bit too much reliability there onto their mid laner, the Isis, in that circle of protection timing, because the early game seemed like the only period that really took much effect and really seemed to try and sway Fable away from committing to them. And after that, you never really saw Keemon and Eribiiax together.
Yeah, Eribiiax was able to get some early picks, as you alluded to there, but really not very much outside of that. FableGG looked clean, and a couple reasons why. One of them has got to be Chronic. I mean, on that Cerberus, he really did a great job responding. Even when EU Powerhouses were getting their wombo combo to work, he was trading out kills. He was helping get him in duo lane for free. He looked great on that Cerberus.
If there was an MVP of the game vote, I think it would have to go to ChronicThe Bros here for this match. He did a great job on the Cerberus, and I don't think that Fable could have asked for more.
No, not at all. We just got to see, even in that short clip, you saw the scariness that is going up against the Cerberus at certain points, and ChronicThe Bro is certainly able to bring that fear out. But talk on